7 of the worst F1 debuts ever. In F1's 70-year history, there have been 770 drivers who have competed in at least one race. That's a lot of drivers who have at some point in their lives dreamed about their perfect F1 debut, whether that's winning in a front-running team or simply having a strong race in a midfield car. The problem is dreams are just that, dreams. And most of the time don't come true, especially if you're one of these 7 drivers included in this list. Let's take a look back through history at some of the most disappointing first races ever. Ernst Loofe. His F1 career, not even just his debut, lasted a grand total of 1 lap. When Ernst Lotterer raced for Caterham at the 2014 Belgian Grand Prix, he became the oldest driver to debut in F1 since 1995, aged 32 years and 288 days old. For Lotterer, this race was unfortunately his only chance. Despite great success at events such as Le Mans, Lotterer retired just 1 lap into the race with a mechanical issue. It was suggested the loss of power was down to his aggressive driving over curbing at the Blanchimont turn. Can you actually imagine how you'd feel achieving the dizzying heights of F1 for literally 1 lap? Heartbreaking. Karun Chandhok. Karun's F1 debut lasted a whopping 2 laps. During the second lap of the 2010 Bahrain Grand Prix, Karun Chandhok's first F1 race ended very prematurely. Chandhok's Hispania racing car hit a bump on the circuit and spun, resulting in significant damage to the front wing and therefore forced him to retire right there and then. Felipe Massa and Alan McNish. Felipe and Alan's first F1 race lasted literally 1 corner. The last time a debutant had such a disappointing start to a race was back in 2002 for the Australian Grand Prix. At the front of the grid, Ralf Schumacher started brilliantly from 3rd when he got caught out by Rubens Barrichello's braking ahead. Schumacher's car flew overhead and triggered a pile-up further back. In total, the accident ruled 8 cars out of the Australian Grand Prix. Among those out of the race were Felipe Massa in his Sauber and Alan McNish of Toyota, 2 brand new rookies to the championship. Michael Schumacher. This one is going to hurt to say, but even the GOAT himself had his F1 debut last a measly 5 turns. Michael Schumacher's debut famously ended on the first lap when his clutch failed just after Raidillon. Schumi had started a brilliant 7th and already made his way up to 5th at the start, but when trying to keep his Jordan 191 from understeering, Schumacher lifted his clutch so suddenly that the force shattered it completely. Thankfully, his performances had already made a great impression. He joined Benetton full-time later that season, and, well, the rest is history. Marco Apicella. Another driver whose Jordan F1 career lasted less than a lap, 400 metres to be precise, was Marco Apicella. The Italian was taking part in his home race after impressing Eddie Jordan in the Junior Series, but his race ended on the first corner of the very first lap when he was caught in a classic 90s Turn 1 pile-up at the back of the field. Just like Ernst Lotterer, it would be Apicella's only F1 start, meaning his entire F1 career lasted about 400 metres. Surely it can't get any worse than that. Nope, it definitely can. Ernst Loofe. Poor old Ernst had his F1 career literally last 2 metres. Yep, you heard me right, 2 metres. Ernst Loofe was taking part in his home race at the 1953 German Grand Prix when he had a fuel pump failure and only managed to roll about 2 metres from his starting position. It goes down as the shortest F1 career in history, but Loofe will be more fondly remembered as a car designer, having contributed to the BMW 328 sports car of the late 1930s. There you have it, some devastatingly terrible F1 debuts. Were there any debuts we've missed out that you'd have included? Let us know in the comments section below.